Hi, my name is Bruce Dorr, and I'm one of the staff scientists at Science North, and this post is about mosquitoes. They're back. So I'm actually standing in front of a vernal pool. These are temporary pools that appear in the spring whenever we have snow melt or good rain. And I'm not located in this far away area in Sudbury. I'm actually located pretty much in downtown Sudbury. I'm actually right near a trail. I'm in an urban area, and this could be somebody's backyard. So it's just to show you that these vernal pools, these are areas where mosquitoes breed. So there are many different mosquito species in Ontario. There's actually over 60 species in Ontario, and some of them will breed in these vernal pools. So what happens is the year previously, so last summer, last spring, last autumn, what has happened is that female mosquitoes have actually laid eggs in moist ground right here. And when thaw happens and the water starts to get a little bit warmer, we get the babies. The baby mosquito, we call them larvae. So the mosquito life cycle starts off with an egg. Then we have larvae, and they go through 4 growth stages that we call instars. They then transform into what we call a pupae. It's the middle stage. And then the pupae will come out of the water, and not the pupae, but the adult will come out of the water, and those are the adults you see flying around. So that's the life cycle of a mosquito. Now, some of you are probably saying, well, Bruce, I've already seen mosquitoes around, like since the end of April, beginning of May, they're kind of flying around. Well, those are other species. Those species, what happens, the females overwinter in tree bark, in your house, in caves, and once it gets warmer, they start to emerge, they'll feed, and then they'll lay their eggs. All right, so it's really interesting that they have different life cycles, but they all have ultimately the same thing. They need to lay eggs in usually what we call standing water, so water that doesn't flow, doesn't move, so you won't find them in rivers and things like that, and also in waters where there's not any fish. If there's no fish like this one, you'll find millions and millions of them, and then they'll just emerge, and then you end up with the mosquitoes that feed upon us. Now, you say, okay, mosquitoes feed upon us, but why? Why do female mosquitoes, because they're the only ones that bite us, why do they bother biting us? What's the point of that? Well, what's really interesting, they bite us and other animals to get our blood proteins in order to make their eggs. Now, some mosquitoes, they can actually make eggs without our blood proteins, but they'll only make a few tens of eggs. But with our blood proteins, they can make thousands upon thousands of eggs. So that's why they take a blood meal. Now, the male mosquitoes and female mosquitoes don't really get their energy from that. They get their energy from nectar, so from flowers that are around. That's what they get their energy. And some biologists think they're actually important pollinators for certain plants in northern Ontario. So, as annoying as they are, they do have an ecological role in the sense they do help pollinate. So one thing that when you look at mosquitoes in here, and I actually went and I collected the baby mosquitoes right there, the larvae, you will notice they're very easy to recognize. They're called sometimes wrigglers because as they swim in the water, you'll see them kind of waving back and forth, and then they go towards the water surface, and you'll see them at the end of the larvae, a little tube, what we call a siphon. Okay, and they use that, they pierce the water surface, they take air, oxygen, and then they go back into the water. So they're very easy to identify because they wiggle around and they have that siphon. And the pupae, what's really interesting, they don't have a siphon that's in the back like the babies. Their respiratory horns are on the side of their head. So they look like little devils. Then again, they stick those little horns on the water surface, they take a breath, and then they go inside the water. What do mosquitoes eat? The larvae eat? Well, they eat bacteria and algae that are found in the vernal pools, in these temporary pools or other pools of water. So that's why you won't find them when it's really, really cold, because the bacteria hasn't had time to really emerge. But right now, this vernal pool is full of stuff growing in it. I could actually see the algae growing. I see kind of white matter growing in there. So there's plenty of food for them to eat, to grow and emerge. How long does it take from the egg to the adult stage? It all depends on species and also temperature. So at this time of year, it's a bit cool. it might take them a week or two in order to emerge from these pools to become the adults that bite us. But in the summertime, there are some species, and I've actually measured it, that from egg to adult can take anywhere between 3 to 5 days. They're that quick because the water temperature is so much warmer. They can kind of develop much faster, and they can emerge much quicker. Unfortunately, those are the species that also tend to carry West Nile virus, which is a disease that we find now in North America. All right, so we have many different species, and what happens, you get species that appear in the spring, they die off. Other species appear later in the spring, they die off. Other species start appearing in the summer, they die off, and then other species appear in late summer. So we are always bombarded by mosquitoes whenever it starts to be nice, but it's never the same mosquito species. They're already replenished, always replenished from another one. So anyways, you'll see these vernal pools throughout Sudbury, throughout our region. Like I said, I didn't go far. I just went off a trail, very common trail that we have here in Sudbury in an urban area, and I found larvae in there. So if you want to look for larvae, all you need is just take a jar, some rubber boots, obviously, and I took a net, just a bait net, for catching bait fish or picking up bait fish, or you can get an aquarium net from any pet stores, and you can just dip in there, transfer them in the jar, and you will see these larvae and hopefully also pee-pee just kind of moving around in the water. It's really neat to watch them kind of live and do their own thing. All right, so there's lots of information about mosquitoes. I'm more than happy to share them with you. So if you have any comments or any questions about the mosquitoes, please share them with us. Have a good day.